Hello, in this lecture we are going to learn about open shell systems. Open shell systems are generally more complicated than the closed shell system where all the electrons are paired, but it also gives the most interesting chemistry. So many of the interesting chemical processes actually happens involving open shell systems. So when I talk of open shell systems, the obvious things which comes is spin. Now what we have discussed before, and I am going to tell this again and again, spin is a quantum mechanical phenomena. Spin does not mean rotation like this or rotation like this. What spin actually means we do not know, and in the non-relativistic quantum mechanics, what we do by spin is putting the spin by hand to ensure the antisymmetry of the wave function. But we have the spin angular momentum algebra where Sz, when it operates on the spin coordinate, it gives you the eigenvalue ms. The ms can be plus half h cross or minus half h cross. If it is plus half h cross, it is called alpha, and what is minus half h cross, that is called a beta electron. Now depending upon that, we get to the concept of spin orbital, where my chi1 is my spin orbital, which actually have a spatial part psi 1 and a spin part alpha. Similarly, chi2 has a spatial part psi 1 and spin part beta. In the case of restricted Hartree-Fock, the number of alpha and beta electrons are same with identical spatial part. And also the other thing one is interested in case of molecular wave function, it is important to check the eigenfunction of S square operator, which gives you an eigenvalue S into S plus 1 h cross square. And depending upon this, we get to the multiplicity of the system. Remember, multiplicity is 2s plus 1. So if S is equal to 0, my 2s plus 1 will be 1, and that is called singlet. If S is equal to half, my multiplicity is 2, it is called doublet. Similarly, S is equal to 1 will lead to triplet, S is equal to 3 by 2 will lead to quartet, quintet, like this it will go on. Now the problem in the restricted Hartree-Fock is that it is only restricted to the cases when your system has even number of electrons and all the electrons are paired up. Remember, having just even number of electron does not mean the electrons are paired up. They can be unpaired also or partially paired up also. So the limitation of restricted formalism is that this cannot describe highly reactive species like radicals or carbines. And for the potential energy surface beyond the equilibrium geometry, it gives inconsistent description. A very straightforward example is H2 molecule. If you try to describe the H2 molecule in the RHF, it will get dissociated into an H cation and H anion, whereas we know that in an ideal case it should undergo an homolytic cleavage, and this is where the problem with the restricted Hartree-Fock is that it gives an inaccurate description of homolytic cleavage of the bonds, and as well as it cannot describe the spin polarization. So the solution is to go for unrestricted formalism. There are basically two kinds of unrestricted formalism. One is called restricted open shell picture, and that is second one is called unrestricted open shell picture. If you just want to see it pictorially, in case of restricted picture, all my electrons are paired up. In case of unrestricted picture, my alpha and beta electron has different spatial part, and even their numbers are different, their spatial part is also different. Whereas restricted open shell is something in between, where the electrons which are paired, they are doubly occupied in an orbital where the spatial part is same, and then there is a different set of singly occupied orbital. So we have three kind of picture where my number of alpha and beta electrons are same and also their spatial part is same. That leads to restricted picture. There is a second case where the number of alpha and beta electrons are different and their spatial part is also different, that is called an unrestricted case. And there is a third case where the number of alpha and beta electrons are different, but for the certain number, the doubly occupied part, the spatial part is same, that is restricted open shell orbital. Remember, even for a same number of alpha and beta electron, you can actually use the unrestricted orbitals. That can lead to some different properties, but in principle there is nothing which actually stops you from using unrestricted orbital for even number of electrons. Now, if I want to go see into the mathematical picture what goes on the mathematics, in the case of restricted Hartree-Fock, there are closed shell systems, no unpaired electrons, spin orbital always comes in alpha and beta pair that share the same spatial orbital phi, and they are obtained from the solution of the single Fock diagonalizing a single Fock operator. That is my pseudo-canonical eigenvalue equation Fc is equal to ESC. So, the consequence is that, remember, these C's are nothing but they are the combination coefficient for the basis function. So, if I can get the C, I know the known basis function, so I can lead to the spatial part of the wave function, that is phi n, and in this case for alpha and beta spin orbital my spatial part is same. Whereas, if I go to unrestricted picture, here all electrons are not paired, they are open shell molecules. Most of the cases we can have cases also where alpha and beta electrons are number of same, but the spatial part can be different. We can sometimes get a lower energy solution if we have an unrestricted orbital, and that because my now spatial part of alpha and beta electron are different, it leads you a more variational flexibility. So, your wave function can be variationally go down and can lead to slightly different answer, slightly lower answer than the restricted Hartree-Fock case. In this case, I get the alpha and the beta orbital from the solution of two different set of Fock operators. So, I am diagonalizing, so I separately diagonalize the alpha Fock operator and I separately diagonalize the beta Fock operator. So, I get two sets of orbitals, one is alpha and one is beta, and similarly for the total spin wave function, if I look at it, the spin wave function, spin orbital chi, which gets from the alpha orbital, they have a different spatial part than the spin orbital for the beta wave function. Remember, the single bar always denotes the beta electrons, whereas unbarred one denotes the alpha electron. That is the convention. Now, in case of unrestricted Hartree-Fock, because my spatial parts are not same, so the wave functions are not the eigenfunction of the S-square operator. Second thing is that because the spatial part of not same and it is not an eigenfunction of the S-square operator, what it leads to is called spin contamination. That is a mixing of singlet and triplet. It can be mixing of any higher order state. We will come into the more details of spin contamination in the next slide, and this can sometimes cause severe errors in the properties. And because the orbitals of alpha and beta are determined from the solution of two different equations, there is no reason them to be orthogonal. Remember, orthogonality is a consequence of the hermiticity of the Hamiltonian. So, the solution of the same Hamiltonian are orthogonal, but because my alpha and beta spin orbitals are determined from two different Fock operators, they are not necessarily orthogonal, and that can lead to sometimes problem both in terms of result and as well as in visualization. So, what we need to do is to somehow orthogonalize them, what is called a quasi-restricted orbital. We will see an example for that. And due to difference in the occupancies, this system experience some kind of spin polarization. So, it lowers down the energy and slightly takes care of the picture which goes beyond the normal Hartree-Fock, a part of the electron correlation. Now, the third one is a restricted open shell Hartree-Fock. In this case, it uses a restricted formalism, but the density matrix for the singly occupied orbitals are not multiplied by the factor of 2, what was done in the restricted Hartree-Fock, where you just take the spatial part of alpha and multiply with 2 to get the spatial part of the beta also. And the wave function in the case of restricted Hartree-Fock are the eigenfunction of the S-square. Now, it may be very tempting to think that restricted open shell Hartree-Fock is always better than the unrestricted case. But because of the unrestricted case has some variational flexibility, it can sometimes describe the wave function in a much better way than the restricted open shell Hartree-Fock can do. If you go to the Chris Kramer's book, Essentials of Computational Chemistry, and if you go to page number 188, you will see a very good example of CH3 radical where the spin density is not correctly described by the restricted open shell case, and in the unrestricted case they are properly described. But sometimes this spin contamination can lead to severe problems in energies and other properties, Remember, the problem of spin contamination is more severe in the case of wave function based method. For the case of density functional theory, spin contamination is not such a big problem. Now, when I talk of the spin contamination essentially means when calculating an open shell system using UHF, the flexibility of the method allows the wave function to mix the component of higher spin, leading to contamination of the calculated spin state. That means, if I have a doublet spin state, it will get contaminated by a quartet spin state. If I have a singlet spin state in the UHF formalism, it will get contaminated by the triplet spin state. And the cause of the contamination is the unrestricted formalism. This contamination may result in critical errors in the calculation, especially energy and geometry. Sometimes the frequencies also get severely affected, and the extent of spin contamination is usually assessed by calculating the expectation value of the spin square operator. For a pure spin state, this value should be equal to S into S plus 1, where S is the spin quantum number. But in the case of spin contaminated wave function, this generally deviates from the ideal values. We will see examples to see how much it can deviate, under which conditions it will be acceptable, and under what condition you should take it with a pinch of salt. Now, how to mitigate this spin contamination? First way, the easiest way is to go to restricted open shell Hartree-Fock. This method constrains the spin up and spin down orbital to the same, preventing spin contamination, but sometimes they can be less accurate the UHF for a certain amount of system. So, it is not a general order solution. Second option is to go for multi-reference method, where you describe the starting wave function as a linear combination of more than one determinant, so that you can adapt the wave function to a particular spin. In that case, the problem of spin contamination will not be there. And third option is to use of higher level of correlation methods. So, full CI we know is an exact method, so it does not depend upon the orbital. So, it does not matter unrestricted, restricted, whatever orbitals you use, generally the full CI wave function gives you the exact answer. Of course, full CI is not a practical method, so we need to go to methods which are some approximation, but generally higher order couple cluster methods even have less problem for the spin contamination. So, dealing with open shell system, one need to really look very carefully to look how much spin contaminated your wave function is. The fourth approach is, which I have not listed here, is to project out the higher spin from your wave function. So, you can get a projected method, but that comes with an additional problem. So, I have not listed it here. Now, one of the important tool to deal with this open shell system, to interpret the properties of open shell system, is to use what is called a spin density. Now, question is, what is density? To know what is density, we first need to know what is one particle reduced density matrix, gamma. And you see that gamma has two coordinates, R1 and R1 dash. So, I take my wave function, which actually has n coordinates, R1, R2 up to Rn. Now, here if I multiply this wave function and I integrate every other coordinate except the first one, that leads to one particle reduced density matrix, and that is mentioned by gamma. If I take the diagonal element of this gamma, so if I put R1 dash is equal to R, that is called the density, and the density can be also represented by summing it over the orbitals like this. Now, remember, in case of unrestricted system, you have density of alpha and beta electrons, because my alpha and beta electrons are obtained from two separate Fock matrices. So, in principle, I have two sets of orbital. I can calculate the density of the alpha electron and the density of beta electron, and if I subtract it, what I guess is the spin density. So, that is actually a measurement of the number of unpaired electron it has. And one can visualize the spin density surfaces using Orca plot. We will see an example where we will plot the spin density surfaces and we will visualize using Chemcraft. The other interesting idea is to go to low spin system. So, when we think of singlet or triplet, it can have two options. It can have the high spin system or it can have the low spin system. For example, if I take this example of this Fe2S2, where the two iron centers are connected by sulfur ligands, each of the iron centers are D5 systems. So, they can undergo an high spin coupling. So, if one of them is in alpha spin, the up spin is generally considered as alpha spin and the down spin is generally considered as beta spin. Now, if they couple, all the electrons will get paired up, so it will lead to a singlet kind of a state. But there can be also cases where two of the electrons in each of the irons are paired up. In this case also, when we couple, it will also lead to a singlet state, but this we call as a low spin singlet. Now, the problem is that here you see the first two orbitals, the electrons are coupled. I can also have a configuration where maybe the first orbital the electron is uncoupled and the second and third orbital the electron is coupled. That means my resultant determinant is the linear combination of all these possibilities. So, because of this, the low spin states are linear combination of more than one state. So, basically they are multi-reference state and they cannot be described by a single determinant. You can use the unrestricted picture and use a broken symmetry solution to access them. So, broken symmetry Hartree-Fock is like a poor man's multi-reference SCF or MCSCF. So, it gives you an easy access to some of these low spin state, but it sometimes becomes very difficult to find few of the low spin state through this. So, this is not a general approach, but you can actually access few of the low spin state by using the broken symmetry solution, and we will see an example where we will do the broken symmetry solution to go to a low spin singlet state. Now, telling all of this, remember this broken symmetry solution can be only used using unrestricted picture. Using restricted open shell picture, you cannot get a broken symmetry solution. So, with this knowledge, we will now go to some practical examples and we will try to run calculation and see how the results looks like.